This is Tony Hughes. He was deaf and nonverbal, and in 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer decided to stalk him and turn him into one of his victims. His mother, Shirley, and sister, Barbara, spoke to TMZ in an article that was released on June 27th, 2024, calling out Ariana Grande for the comments she made on the podcast.
When Ariana Grande isn't busy wrecking marriages, she's out here dreaming about dinner dates with serial killers. Is there a rock bottom she hasn't hit yet? If she continues like this, we'll have no choice but to add her to the list of celebs who shouldn't be anywhere near a mic, because we have no time for such negativity and insensitivity anymore. What Ariana said is unforgivable and insulting to both Dahmer's victims and their families. This is such a mess, and we have to talk about it.
Shirley wants Ariana to know how hurtful her comments are and how emotional she was after hearing them.
Ariana Grande is facing major backlash from fans and Tony Hughes' family after she shockingly picked the infamous criminal Jeffrey Dahmer as her dream dinner guest. She made this jaw-dropping statement on the Pod Crushed podcast with hosts Penn Bagley, Sophie Ansari, and Nava Kavalin. The podcast was going well until Ariana mentioned that she was infatuated with the infamous criminals when she was younger. Recalling a Q&A session she participated in during her early years, she explained that it took place between her time as Kat on Sam and Cat and her pop music career. The audience was a younger group accompanied by their parents. Someone asked her if you could have dinner with anyone living or dead, who would it be? On top of that, she casually responded, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer is pretty fascinating.
Years ago, before the Dahmer series, before it was in a Q&A with fans, with young fans. It was young fans at the time. It was like, I think it was like in between like me being Cat and pop stuff, so it was like a younger group. But it was with a parent. Someone said, if you could have dinner with anyone living or dead, who would it be? And I was like, oh, you're so cute. Who Mom and Dad, is it okay if I give the real answer? And they were like, sure, I guess. What's the answer? And I was like, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer's pretty fascinating. I think I would have loved to have met him.
Wow.
Like, you know, maybe with a third party or something involved. But I have questions. I have a lot to, I don't know. I would love to. And the parents were like,
who even says that on a podcast, right? Trying too hard to be edgy much. And to think she found this funny. Yikes. But that's not even the worst part. You see, one of the reasons people found her sentiments and careless laughter incredibly insensitive is that it was only a matter of time before the affected families heard about this. And they did. Ariana Grande has managed to disgust not only us, but also the family of Tony Hughes, one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. When TMZ reached out to Tony's mom about the issue, her response was super heartbreaking because it felt like Ariana had poked her healing wound. She said Grande's statement left her both emotional and disturbed. Honestly, who wouldn't be? This is beyond disrespectful. To me, it seems like she's sick in her mind, she told the outlet. It's not fancy or funny to say you would want to have dinner with him. It's also not something you should say to young people, which she says she did. Preach, Shirley. Someone needs to tell these celebs that not everything that pops into their heads is worth sharing.
And she wants Ariana and other general public to know how much pain and suffering the families go through every time Jeffrey Dahmer is brought up. She finds it quite troubling that Ariana Grande has no empathy for the loved ones and the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Apart from Tony's mom, his sister also weighed in on the matter, calling out Ariana for glamorizing Dahmer with her comments and demanding an apology. But let's be real, what can she possibly say to dig herself out of this one? And please don't get me wrong, loves, it's normal for people to have wild thoughts, especially when they're younger, but the problem is that some things aren't meant to be said out loud. Even the FBI shouldn't be able to get that kind of information from you. Trust me, people are fascinated by the weirdest stuff, but please, some thoughts need to go to the grave with you. Normalize keeping certain things to yourself, y'all. This whole podcast trend has people oversharing things we have no business knowing. Jeez, keep these intrusive thoughts in check, especially when it is something as sensitive as this. Sometimes I think Ariana's PR team must secretly hate her. For an A-list celebrity of her stature, these are things they should have trained her never to let slip, even on her deathbed. As it is, being a homewrecker has already painted her in a bad light. Ari, don't you ever get tired of digging yourself deeper? And here's the craziest bit in all these. She's now being canceled of something she would have easily avoided. She was never a good person. I vote for the down downfall of Ariana Grande. I never liked Ariana Grande. Something about her is just evil. I be tearing up thinking about Tony Hughes. Ariana Grande has never been a good person. She thinks she can do no wrong, and everyone puts her on this high pedestal. Ariana Grande will always get away with everything she does. The media never wants to cancel her or label her a bad person. Again, guys, Arianators will be super quick to defend her, saying people are blowing things out of proportion, but please bear in mind, we are talking about someone who not only ended the lives, but also dismembered 17 innocent men over 13 years. That is not something you casually bring up as a dinner guest choice. Here is what a psychologist had to say about this. As someone who reads about true crime, listens to podcasts, watches true crime TV shows, and double majored in psychology and criminology years ago because I thought I was going to work within the arena of the criminal justice system, I'll say this. With the popularity of true crime rising, so have the sick people, simply because they don't know that there are natural and normal curiosities of the sick and twisted, and then there's just a line that you don't cross with said curiosity. The victims and their families are often just an afterthought after people have indulged their curiosities watching Dahmer or listening to My Favorite Murder, the latter being a horribly inappropriate name for a podcast. You don't stan serial killers, wish to eat lunch with them, or glamorize them. You don't joke about Dahmer's victims. I mean, sure, maybe you would want to speak with them in their prison cell and try to analyze, sure, but have a casual meal with a cannibal and talk to him about his victims like it's another day at the office? No. Just no. That's twisted and sick. She is not okay. And just to add salt to the injury, Ariana has recently been forced to defend herself against cannibalism allegations. At this point, she's single-handedly handing her haters everything they need to take her off.
I've learned, I don't know, I sit somewhere between being a literal witch, I'm not kidding, and being like the most realistic, cut, dry, like, you know?
Yeah, totally.
The cannibalism drama was frankly quite hilarious, to be honest. For those who missed it, I already covered this in a recent video, but let me give you a quick rundown before you check out the full story. It all started when Ariana's fans got a bit too creative to start a rumor about her to drum up hype for her newly announced mini tour. This is a classic celebrity move, creating buzz before a major announcement. With Ariana's tour being her first in like 5 years, the stakes were high, and so her fans started this rumor to gatekeep tickets. The rumor that she was a cannibal, believe it or not, many people actually bought into it. Videos, tweets, TikToks, there was a whole wave of content trying to prove her cannibalism. Now, the fans who started this mess are struggling to convince everyone it was just a joke. The whole situation has gotten so out of hand that it seems Ariana has had to cancel her tour. Her management announced that she won't be taking on any other engagements until she finishes filming the Wicked movie. Even Ariana's brother, Frankie Grande, had to step in and defend her. Ariana's guardian angel must be on vacation because this story just happened to blow up right alongside her Jeffrey Dahmer comments, making her situation even worse. Now, on to the next chapter of this wild story. As I was digging through this situation, something super sad caught my attention, and we have to address it all. Turns out, Ariana's case wasn't the first time that Tony Hughes' family had to call out someone for glamorizing Jeffrey Dahmer. The Hughes family had a similar outburst where Evan Peters was awarded a Golden Globe for his portrayal of the infamous criminal in Ryan Murphy's series Dahmer Monster: The Jeffrey Dahmer Story. They just didn't think it was a good idea to turn this horror show into a glamorous award-winning film. There's a lot of sick people around the world, and people winning acting roles from playing killers keeps the obsession going, and this makes me sick. People thrive on the fame, Shirley told TMZ at the time. It's a shame that people can take our tragedy and make money. The victims never saw a cent. We go through these emotions every day. The victim's family said they were blindsided by the release and weren't even informed about it. Yet another family member of one of Dahmer's victims slammed Netflix for seemingly trying to profit from this tragedy. I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind or how we felt about it. They didn't ask me anything. They just did it, she wrote. As shocking as it may sound, many people actually glamorize and idolize villains like Jeffrey Dahmer, and I might have just stumbled upon why. The movie movie industry is largely to blame. Think about any real-life story turned into a film and notice how the villain is often portrayed. Even drug lords are depicted in a way that can make you almost sympathize with them by the end. I get it, I do. Movies need to be dramatized to be entertaining, but this is where the problem lies. Viewers often forget that the real-life experiences were far from the glamorous portrayal on screen. It's no wonder Tony's family felt outraged when not only was Dahmer's story dramatized, but the actor who played him even received accolades for his performance. Someone else said, "I agree, it's treated like it's a scripted movie, but it is real life and real pain to the people involved and their families. I'm interested in true crime, but I completely don't get anyone who elevates it and stands the killers." This is a tough one, guys. Turning real-life tragedies into movies, especially ones as harrowing as Jeffrey Dahmer's, is incredibly delicate. Sure, you could argue that it's just a film for entertainment purposes, but let's not forget that some people lived through those horrors and lost their lives. Their families are left grappling with endless grief. It feels downright insensitive to cash in on their suffering. So here's a question for y'all. Should these families receive compensation when such documentaries are made? And if so, would it be appropriate for them to accept it? I'm telling you, this is a complex issue. Anyways, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video.